expecting to see everything right where you left it, only to find an empty, echoing space staring back at you. That's exactly what happened to me the day I came home from months undercover, barely back in my own skin. And all I saw were dark oil stains on the concrete and my dad's old tools scattered around like some cruel reminder. Gone just like that. My 1967 Mustang Fastback. Yeah, the one Dad and I rebuilt from a rusted shell after Mom died just to honor her memory. And my black '70 Dodge Challenger, the car I'd dreamed about since I was old enough to reach the pedals. Together, those cars weren't just metal, they were family, nearly $180,000 in history, scrapped at a junkyard for a $500 check. All because Priscilla Hawthorne, the HOA president, and a classic power-hungry Karen, if there ever was one, decided they were abandoned. You want to know pain? Watch your family legacy get hauled away for scrap because some suburban dictator wanted to make a point. When I confronted Priscilla, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Those rusty old eyesores were dragging down our property values, Benny. I did the whole neighborhood a favor. She even had the nerve to pocket the fines after forging all the paperwork." Wrong move, lady. Because I'm Detective Adrian Blackwood, Auto Theft Division, and surprised she picked the absolute worst guy to mess with. Now she's under investigation, and if you think that's the craziest part, hang on. This gets wilder. Let me rewind. See, I wasn't always a detective. Before I was chasing car thieves, I was that 8-year-old kid handing my dad wrenches in our little garage. The smell of Castrol GTX and chrome polish, man, that was basically my childhood. Dad was a magician with engines. After Mom died, he rebuilt cars not just for work, but to fill the silence she left behind. Every Saturday, we'd get our hands dirty and bring old muscle cars back from the dead. The Mustang. He bought it the day of Mom's funeral, just a skeleton. "We're going to make her beautiful again," he told me, eyes watering through engine grime. And you know what? 3 years later, that car looked showroom new candy apple red, 390 V8, loud enough to wake the whole neighborhood. And the Challenger, my graduation present to myself, when I made Detective Black as midnight white racing stripes, an engine that rumbled like a thunderstorm. Dad helped me restore it all before his heart gave out 5 years ago. Those cars were rolling monuments to the people I loved. I moved into Maplewood Estates thinking I'd finally found suburban peachtree-lined streets, tidy lawns, neighbors who waved. The HOA seemed fine at first. Mow your lawn, keep the noise down, all that jazz. Then I met Priscilla, and let me tell you, hell hath no fury like a middle-aged woman with a laminated rulebook. Imagine someone who treats dandelions like a declaration of war and actually measures your mailbox with a tape measure. Priscilla ran that HOA like a tiny Kingdom Pearls Yacht Club wardrobe and a scowl that could curdle milk. It didn't take long for the harassment to start. My F-150 was commercial looking. My welcome mat was the wrong color. I even got a certified letter about my doorbell being too loud. But the real bullseye was my cars. She'd sneak around, peeking through my garage windows, snapping photos, probably plotting her next move. Vintage vehicles might leak hazardous fluids. She'd say like vintage was a disease. I did everything to keep her off my back garage, spotless cars, covered drip pans under everything, even spent $2,000 on a ventilation system just to quiet her paranoia. But here's what I didn't know: Priscilla had her sights set on my lot from day one. Biggest corner in the neighborhood, just right for her son's construction business. Only problem was I lived there. Then right on cue, I got assigned to a deep cover operation. 3 months of radio silence, completely off the grid. I locked up everything, had Floyd, my retired postman neighbor, keep an eye on the place. Lawn service paid up, detailed notes left behind. My cars tucked away in the garage, batteries on tenders covered up tight. But for Priscilla, it was open season. While I was risking my neck to keep drugs off the streets, she was forging violation notices, backdating documents, and straight up stealing the only things I had left from my family. That empty garage wasn't just a loss, it was a declaration of war. She made her move against the wrong guy. First thing I did, pulled the sale records from Salvage King Auto Parts. Priscilla's paperwork sloppier than a drunk at last call. She'd forged my signature on a voluntary surrender form I'd never seen and backdated everything. I remembered from training, by law, you need 30 days notice and certified mail before a vehicle can be towed. She skipped all that, made up the whole paper trail after the fact. I rolled up to her house still in uniform, where she was holding court at her book club, the other suburban vultures nodding along. She tried to play it off, emergency health hazard, the board voted you should thank me. When I asked what violations I'd committed, she rattled off a list of made-up charges, each more ridiculous than the last. That's when I realized this wasn't about cars. This was a full-on con job. Next stop, the Junkyard. Eddie Kowalski, the owner, looked like he bench-pressed cars for fun. He handed me Priscilla's forged docs and shrugged. Lady says she's property manager, shows papers, I pay cash. The Mustang was already stripped, Dad's custom headers gone. The original engine sold off to some collector. It felt like my memories were getting parted out for spare change. The Challenger still in the lot, dusty but whole. Eddie said I could buy her back for $1,500, my own car stolen from me. I filed the theft report, technically investigating my own case, which is about as fun as it sounds. Then the security footage dropped Priscilla, bolt cutters in hand, breaking into my garage at 2 a.m., clear as day. I tried to present it to the board. But guess who ran the meeting? This matter has been resolved. Priscilla announced book club posse in tow, all nodding like bobbleheads. She packed the board with her friends, replaced elected members with loyalists. It was more rigged than a carnival game. Then she went nuclear. I've filed a complaint with your department for harassment. Within days, Internal Affairs called. Marcus, you can't work your own theft case. My captain said she'd just weaponized my badge against me. 2 days later, an emergency HOA meeting was called. Place was packed, felt like a witch trial. Priscilla at the podium, slideshow, and all painting me as some public menace. Photos of my garage toolboxes, oil bottles, all turned into evidence. She even started in on my mental health, suggesting cops and veterans couldn't handle civilian reintegration, that I was obsessed, unstable. The crowd lapped it up, neighbors started crossing the street to avoid me. But I wasn't giving up. 3 nights of digging, and I found her pattern. She'd run this scam on 6 other homeowners, all single men, minorities, or vets. Raked in 18 grand in recovered fees, took a 15% cut on every one. Miguel Santos, a Navy vet, met me downtown and said she destroyed my boat, claimed it was abandoned while I was deployed. Cost me 12 grand. Priscilla wasn't just petty, she was a predator. And she escalated, slapped me with a restraining order, claiming I was stalking her, backed by her book club friends. Reality: I live 3 houses down. Avoiding her would mean teleporting or growing wings. But the order stuck. I couldn't go to HOA meetings, the mailbox, nowhere. But her mistake: every forged document, every illegal move, every abuse of power was building a case. The hunter had become the hunted. Then my break came from Floyd. He handed me an envelope, months of evidence that Priscilla was tampering with federal mail. Photos of her steaming open certified letters, tossing appeals in the trash. That's a federal crime, 5 years prison time. Floyd, without knowing it, had just built the case I needed. Priscilla's last move was pure arrogance. She tried to foreclose on my house, telling a real estate agent who happened to be married to a detective at my precinct that I was psychologically unstable, and she'd buy the place for pennies on the dollar. The pieces clicked. This was real estate fraud, a full-on conspiracy. And the IRS, of all people, dropped the final nail: $47,000 in unpaid taxes, years delinquent. I dug into Maplewood's bylaws. Board members must be residents in good standing, no liens, no judgments. Priscilla had been serving illegally for 3 years. Every violation, every fee void. I called the FBI. Marcus, you're describing a RICO case, Agent Sterling said. Mail fraud, tax evasion, racketeering. We can seize everything. Suddenly, her Lexus jewelry, even her HOA podium were on the line. My role flipped from victim to key witness. My badge became evidence, not liability. We set the trap. Surveillance in my garage, a fake rumor about a rare motorcycle victim's organized evidence lined up, and Channel 7's investigative reporter ready for the finale. Priscilla and her son Derek fell for it, caught on camera breaking in, discussing how to resell the bike for tax money. Meanwhile, she was burning every bridge in the community, accusing me of everything from faking evidence to threatening the neighborhood. Her last meeting was a circus, PowerPoints, flowcharts, accusations of grand conspiracy, all being recorded by federal agents disguised as neighbors. The room was packed. Priscilla at the podium launched into her grand finale, waving stacks of fake foreclosure papers. That's when I walked in, badge out, and announced, "That restraining order, it's invalid. Federal prosecutors have charged you with mail fraud, tax evasion, and racketeering." The room went silent. Then Agent Sterling flashed her FBI credentials. Derek dropped his suitcase. Priscilla, for once, had nothing to say. The news crew stepped forward, cameras rolling as Floyd produced the photos Priscilla busted stealing mail. Evidence so clear, even a defense attorney would throw in the towel. Handcuffs snapped shut. 6 years federal prison, 300 grand in restitution, everything seized. Derek got 2 years and lost his law license. The neighborhood turned around emergency HOA elections, real transparency, monthly reports, actual democracy. Our story spread. 17 other HOA presidents arrested, statewide new laws, passed, scholarships created for veterans learning auto restoration, honoring my dad's legacy. Best of all, I rebuilt the Mustang, the whole community pitching in, folks who'd once avoided me now sharing stories, tools, memories. Even Miguel Santos, the Navy vet, became my partner in the garage. Restoration became therapy, not just for us, but for the neighborhood. I met Sarah Mitchell at our first car show, a Marine vet rebuilding her own family Camaro. We hit it off over carburetor troubleshooting and shared scars. The annual Freedom Day Festival turned into a celebration of justice, classic cars, and community. Channel 7's documentary won awards. The police department started an HOA fraud unit, and I got to turn my nightmare into a way to help others. Sometimes fighting back means you build something better than you lost. Standing in my garage, Mustang humming, Sarah beside me, working on her Camaro. I get it now. Community isn't about rules and fines, it's about people showing up for each other when it counts. Tomorrow I'm investigating a city councilman for construction fraud. Because here's the thing. Justice doesn't end at your driveway and karma. She's always got perfect timing. So what would you have done in my place? Ever seen power abused like that where you live? Drop your stories, your thoughts, your own justice moments down below. Let's talk about what real community and real accountability should look like.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.